My name is Roman Shevtsov. I'm head of the information security and automation in Lamoda. Our group has 3 people, me and 2 more experts. One of them is with us today, Igor Zverev. He will talk about adding the Oracle connector, and we are responsible for administration of IDM, for architecture, for further tuning and honing and other features. In our company, we also have a group of 2 people who do business analysis, analyzing the roles in all the systems. They build the roles for the stuff. They generate dynamic rules for them, and they also manage the IT shop. The IDM project was launched in 2018, so we've been doing it for 2 years. And last year, I spoke at the user group event, and I talked about things we started with. We had to shift from event post to the one identity manager system. We did it in stages. We work in Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan, and we shifted country by country to the new idea. I'll tell you a few words about the things we did later on. We implemented IDM in early 2019, and then we progressed. And let me give you some idea of it. The first thing we did was introduce the IT shop, and the idea was to cover all the systems and to convert them from the manual approvals to the IT shop powered approvals. Then we had to add the GSuite as the first connector. There are some standard implementations there of the connector in the IDM in one identity. They will run in some issues. I'd like to mention them later. Then the third thing was to connect the first DB connector. We used the Oracle database because we have quite a lot of expertise. We have a good team supporting the Oracle data. That's what my colleague will talk about. And the last thing we did late last year, early this year, is migration to the new version of HR system 1S in Russia. This was a huge and daunting task, but we managed and everything is fine. A question. Have you tried to introduce the GSuite connector, or are we the only guys doing it? Okay, let's proceed. Introducing the IT shop. IT shop for our company was one of priorities. So when we used and picked one identity, we considered this as the most promising one. Before the IT shop, all the approvals and data provisioning was done by the technical support people, and this used a lot of resources. Let me show you a number of slides showing IT shops we have. So this is our IT shop, and as you can see, we have just a few buttons here. So I want to simplify it so that every user of the warehouse can quickly figure out the system and do what is required. And we decided that we are not going to have many things. So this is to request access, to provide access, and some other things. What did we have to change? We had to add to the IT shop some of our own notions, the service owner concept. So every system, we have about 60 of them, and most of them are developed by our staff members. We have our own developers, about 300 people in our company, those who deal with IT and infrastructure. And we have about 60 systems and each of them has the business owner and the technical owner responsible for implementation. And we used this in the approval process. We have the business owner approval or delegation, and also approval from TO or delegation from TO. In the Untitled shop, they use the product owner notion, but it didn't work well for us because we had to simplify this, because we're not experts on the extra functions provided by one identity, but we knew what we wanted. So we had to address workflows using the business owner and technical owner notions. What did we do? We took the product group and AC products frameworks, and we expanded them with our customized fields. We said that the business owner and the technical owner and those they delegated are roles. We said that the notion service category and the service will be also connected with a category of roles or a class of roles. We call it service owner, and that's what we are going to describe for all systems, for business owners, delegated, and the technical ones. And to support this solution in their workflow, we added a number of approval workflows to satisfy this new additions to the database. Okay, let me show you how it works using the workflow. So we have a stage identifying whether the staff member has a manager, a supervisor. Then this goes to the request goes to the supervisor or somebody else. Then the business owner or delegated business owner is identified. So we remember that the business owner and the technical owner are roles for a specific system. And if by these roles we have people, staff, say one staff member or several staff members, then this approval goes to the next stage. If we don't have a person like that, then the IDM sends this to the business analysis. So this request goes to the business analysis, our analytics staff, saying that it's important to determine the owners for these systems, and after they are determined, they are confirmed, and then they return this to the core workflow, and then the business owners receive this request. So we don't stop the request. We just quickly respond to the lack of business owners, including people leaving the jobs and so on. So we have the manager, the business owner, the technical owner, the ISD, business analyst possibly, and delegated staff possibly. The first slides on IT shop showed that we don't have many icons in the major user interface. So we tried to simplify things. We wanted to use all the one identity and IT shop features to remove the things which were not clear to us and neither to the user. And we wanted to keep only what was really necessary to the user and to the business. And that's the way it looked. In the drop downs, we only have the make requests or delegate access and a couple of buttons. So what they can do, they can request, they can approve access, delegate rights, and look at the status of the request and change their profile data. One more task was to add the HR module. We took these functions from one identity. So they have their this function for the managers to add users and to approve that they really exist, to build IDs. So we changed these functions a little bit because agent candidates, so those who are not yet hired by the company, but those who already need their workstation and they need all the accounts generated, so they come and on day one on onboarding they can start doing their job. So everything is ready for them, the equipment, their workstation, and so on. And that's why we changed this manager module into the HR module. This is a button to add a candidate. It is available only to a group of people based on their role, and we also add a new account to the IDM this way, and when the person is hired through the HR system 1S, then well the IDM will find this and connect it with the HR person and will further follow it not through the IT shop module for the HR, but rather through the 1S module. Placing services. So this is something which requested more people in our team. We have about 60 systems, and most of them are integrated with Active Directory, and some of them are not. We launched IT Shop on July 2nd, 2019, and we have had 12,300 requests for access by the end of the year. And as of today, starting with this year, we have 3,500 requests. And the statistics shows that we have 10,000 groups of access and roles and the things which can be ordered. And we have almost 20,000 of requests through the workflows and so on. So this means that the IT shop in our company is used quite actively. And here you can see our services styles. Here they are. You can see all of them. Just imagine about 9,000 services. All of them were published. It took some time. All these services are available to specific groups of customers. We have placed all of them and have published all of them, and we have covered almost everything. So not everything, but well, say most, say 90% or 95% of access is now requested through the IT shop, and that's what we are developing. We have reached the connectors. Now we are adding connectors. The systems which are not integrated with Active Directory will be connected to the IT shop, and the entitlements will be managed through this. We have changed the delegation process in the IT shop. We honed it a little bit. So delegation is available. So we remember that owning the services is a dedicated role, and this role can be delegated, and the manager entitlement can be delegated, and so on. We have split it. So there is delegation to direct subordinates, and this is done without any issues. And we also have a workflow for horizontal delegation. This means that the security staff authorize delegation. So this to the subordinate, immediate subordinate, and if you want to delegate it to somebody else, so you need this workflow if it is justified. So the result, we really like the IT shop. We love it. It saves our time. It gives transparent information on the status of the request. It's clear in terms of satisfying the policies of information security, and it's full of potential for automation. So we initially hid most of the functions, but now we are sorting out the new features, and we'll be providing them to our staff and ourselves. And the second thing is connection to GSuite. It's a bit more difficult. You can see a sad face here. Anyway, GSuite is operational with some clauses. Okay, GSuite is our email and electronic paper flow service. This is the first connector. We connect it, we manage accounts, we generate accounts, we send passwords to the staff members. We also transfer organizational data to the email to see the position and the department of every email sender. We also have a remote cancellation of an account with archiving the user documents. So maybe it's easily done in other services, but for us, this was a really important thing, since the number of licenses in Google is limited. So we cannot give everyone licenses. To have access to Google. So this is a limited number of roles, a limited number of people. This means that we need to cancel licenses of those who are fired and to provide them to those who come, those who need them. And this process means that the account is removed from Google, and we need to archive the documents, the emails, and this is done with the IDM. Before deleting the account in Google, IDM sends all the documents to the archive account. One more thing we did is, well, this is a process, sending email addresses to the HR system so that they can receive statements and estimates. OU management. We have the object unit segregation. There we have accounts split by countries with special settings for every country. We also manage the accounts for IDMs. Apart from that, apart from managing this in OUs, IDM also manages the email groups. So those who have IT shop access, they have get this. Mailing groups, license management. We have some issues there. That's the way it looks now, and that's how we want it to look. So this way, Google assigns licenses, and this is the way IDM manages licenses assignment. We believe there is a problem here. For IDM, a license is an access group of a kind, and one staff member can be assigned with all the licenses in Google. But on the Google side, it looks different. One guy has one license. If there are more licenses, then this is a conflict. So this means it's frozen, and you need to deal with it. We had some issues as well with counting the number of licenses on IDM's side. We talked to the support a lot. We have covered some of the issues, and this has been quite interesting. And we talked with Igor, and we have loved on this. So we know many things now, many fixes. We understand that when we update all the IDM version, you need to reset all the fixes. So hopefully we will solve the problem with the license management. I received another answer from the support function, and I believe that we will love the system more. And now the floor goes to Igor Zverev. He will talk about the connecting the first connector of the colleagues. My name is Igor Zverev. I work for Lamoda, the great company, and I deal with a great IDM from one identity. I'll share with you how we connected one identity and Oracle. So I'm not going to talk about technical details and hidden rocks. Okay, what will we get? We'll get a chance to have complete automation of identity management. So locking, generation, provisioning of entitlement and deletion if needed. So we deal with the colleagues who are responsible for the Oracle databases. We find out the rights in spreadsheets, where they are, how this interacts. We ask them for an ID generation. So we go there and we start settings. So what do we need to do? We need to mention the title of the product to show the script. If you use SAML or AD group, so this is the script which will be launched when you connect the database. And you also pick the necessary spreadsheets and schemes. So we can see the sys where you have the access rights. So then we need to install the unique key. Without the unique field, IDM cannot work. So you can create it virtually. And you can also show the connection between the tables. I had two connections. And here it looks at the roles and the user table or spreadsheet. We can also add here some features like hiding fields and so on and so forth. And now a few words about implementing updates. So that we keep IDM in the user's management, we decided to have stored procedures on the database. The stored procedures can be launched two ways, without any conditions. When you add the user, the IDM can launch the stored procedure from the IDM from the database. Oh, now it's so loud. So the password and the username is transferred to the procedure, and then we have some conditions. And when we update the data in the database, the IDM will provide the data array. So you have the DBI users and update actions, so that with every update, the IDM shouldn't check the account status, shouldn't try to lock it or unlock it. So to do this, we check the data array provided to the database. And there they check the account status field, and if the account status is open, then the unlock user procedure, stored procedure is launched. In other cases, the user is locked through the lock user storage procedure. If the data array has a password, say the password is changed, then the stored procedure for resetting the password is launched, and the new password is provided to the user. A few words about mapping. Mapping is quite basic. On the left, you can see the fields stored on the IDM, and to the right, you can see the fields stored and lines stored on the database. So what do we need to match the user on the IDM and database users? To match them, we pick the IDM field, the row where the user will be held, and on the database side, we also pick the user which is already stored. We match this, so the IDM should look both ways. So we make OK. So here the matching is done, or mapping is done. Okay, if on IBM we have the true or false, and on database we have a lot of conditions, then we make a virtual field and have a script. If it is open, then so we remove this tick, and if it's locked or otherwise, then it's true. So we do the same thing. Here we run mapping between the IDM of the database account disabled is exactly this tick, and this one is the virtual field we create. So with this, the tick is either added or removed. A few words about the workflow. Workflow has the one identity and database path. And there are four conditions to them, and if there isn't any data in one identity or in database, if the data is updated or if there isn't any change. So these are the four conditions and four resources: insert, update, delete, and so-called outstanding. This means that the IDM will be watching for requests from the admin for actions to be taken. So briefly, that's it for the connector connection. Thank you. I believe we have an open question on the standard password reset functions in the target systems. Hopefully, our training sessions will shed some light on this. And the final topic to cover is really important, and it wasn't too difficult. Initially, it looked like that. We were said that we would have a different 1S system with different data, with other multipliers, other names, and so we'll redo everything. And the first response was like that. And then we calmed down, started analyzing things like what is going to be changed and how the data structure is going to change and how do we need to perceive it when we shift, and so that the old and new data should correlate so that the system is operational. We also had to understand the dependencies between the HR data and the dynamic provisioning of entitlement. We decided that redefining all the business roles, well, would be a good thing, but you can also transfer everything into direct assignment, and you can do it gradually after the transition. And we also thought about isolating the impact on the end user. So we had to understand what the system can do, the conditions it might have, so that the business roles shouldn't be reset, so we brought it to the direct assignment. So then we figured out the change of the scripts of import and the change of data and the fields we need to remove and reassemble to do the script mapping. We started testing. We used this as a productive environment. We started considering this changed processes and looking what worked, what didn't work the first time. By the moment we launched it, we did it in the January break. That's the only time when the HR system can be stopped, so nothing happens there, and you can get this condition, a permanent condition, and you can analyze the data transferred, and you shouldn't try to kind of process it on the go. So we transferred to the new HR system, and now we are revising our dynamic roles, installing access rights. We have some issues there, but still I believe that we did it nicely, and that's it. Thank you for your attention.